This trade came out of nowhere. Literally no one, and I mean no one, expected Desmond Bane to be the guy moved this offseason. If you asked any NBA fan who Memphis might ship out, the answers would have probably been names like Ja Morant, maybe Jaren Jackson Jr. But Desmond Bane, their sharpshooter, their spacing guy, the one they just signed to a massive extension, yeah, this one's wild. So here's what went down. The Orlando Magic sent 4 first-round picks, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Cole Anthony to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Desmond Bane. That's a haul. And it wasn't even like Memphis was actively shopping Bane. It's just that Orlando came in swinging with an offer too big to ignore. Now just think about it. 4 first-rounders. That alone is eye-popping. But then throw in 2 rotation players. One a proven vet, one a young, still-developing guard. And suddenly Memphis had a decision to make. Keep their guy and hold tight, or cash in big and pivot fast. And they chose the pivot. Now let's break this down, starting with Memphis, because their side of this deal says a lot about where that franchise is headed. First of all, there's a new coach in town. Taylor Jenkins is out. System changes are happening. And Bane, while still solid, didn't exactly look like a natural fit in that new system. There were moments he looked out of place, a little clunky, not quite synced. And let's not ignore the bigger picture. The Grizzlies are kind of at a crossroads. Ja Morant's future is cloudy. Injuries, off-court issues, leadership questions, all of it hanging over their long-term vision. And even though Jaren Jackson Jr. has taken a leap, the front office probably knows they need flexibility. More picks, more trade chips, more options. So when Orlando dropped a Godfather offer on the table, Memphis didn't hesitate. They just said, all right, let's do it. And honestly, it makes sense. If you're Memphis, you just turned one solid player, who might not even be a perfect fit anymore, into 4 chances at a future star, plus 2 serviceable players you can either flip or keep for depth. And you've still got Ja, Jaren, and cap room to maneuver. The crazy part, this might only be step 1, because with that many picks now on hand, Memphis might already be setting up a blockbuster of their own. Giannis? KD? Another big-time star? They've got the assets now. It's chess, not checkers. But hold up. Let's flip the script and talk Orlando. Because they just went all in, and I mean all in, for Desmond Bane. Why? Simple. They needed a shooter. Badly. This team has been on the hunt for a perimeter creator and floor spacer for what feels like forever. Names like Anthony Simons, Darius Garland, even Trae Young have floated around in rumors. But either those guys weren't available, or they weren't available to Orlando. Some teams just don't want to deal with rebuilding squads in their own conference. It's politics, ego, you name it. So the Magic made a call out west, and when they looked at Desmond Bane, they saw someone who could finally give them that shooting edge, that spacing lift, that playmaking relief they've been starving for. They saw a guy who wouldn't just fit, he'd complete the puzzle. Because let's be real, Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner are already blossoming into stars. Jalen Suggs, when healthy, brings the hustle and defense. But there's always been a missing piece. Someone who can hit tough shots, pull defenders out to the arc, open up lanes, and not disappear when the game slows down in the playoffs. That's Bane. He's not flashy, he's not loud, but he's effective. And his numbers don't lie. One of the more consistent three-point shooters in recent years, efficient as hell, and still only 26. Orlando saw the opportunity and didn't blink. Now sure, giving up KCP and Cole Anthony stings a bit, but let's be honest, KCP didn't exactly light it up last year in Orlando. They brought him in for shooting and veteran presence, and it just didn't click. One bad year, and they were ready to move on. Who is Cole Anthony? Talented, yes, but still inconsistent, a bit undersized, and clearly not part of their long-term plans. So what this really comes down to is the picks. Was Bane worth 4 first-rounders and a swap? That's the million-dollar question. And while it's easy to scream overpay, Orlando's front office is thinking long-term. Not just about talent, but about contracts. Bane is locked in through 2029. That's 5 more seasons on a deal that'll look better and better as the salary cap rises. Meanwhile, their core, Paulo, Suggs, and now Bane, is signed, sealed, and under control. That's rare in today's NBA. No mid-season extensions, no max drama, just a clear, stable nucleus. And in an era where team building is getting trickier by the day, Orlando chose certainty over waiting. Now, whether that gamble pays off? Well, that's the part that gets spicy. Because this move puts pressure on everyone in Orlando. Pressure on Paulo and Franz to take another leap. Pressure on Jalen Suggs to stay healthy and keep developing. Pressure on the coaching staff to finally build a modern, functional offense. Something they've struggled with over the past few seasons. And most of all, pressure on Desmond Bane to live up to the price tag. This isn't just a trade, it's a statement. Orlando's front office is telling the league, we're not waiting anymore. No more rebuilding, no more playing it safe. They're ready to win, now. But here's where it gets complicated, because even though Bane fits what they need on paper, it's still a gamble. He's never been a primary option. Never had the weight of being the guy on the perimeter. In Memphis, he had Ja Morant drawing defenders, creating chaos, taking pressure off. In Orlando, that responsibility shifts. He's going to be expected to take and make tough shots, space the floor, move without the ball, and also occasionally create when needed. And that's not nothing. It also begs the question, did Orlando jump too soon? Some fans are already saying this trade feels like desperation. Like they couldn't land Garland, couldn't land Trey, and so they just grabbed the next best thing before anyone else could. And if that's the case, did they overpay for a plan B? Because let's face it, this package of 4 first-rounders, plus KCP and Cole Anthony, that's serious firepower. That's the kind of offer you throw at a star. Not a very good, but not quite elite kind of player. Some believe this same exact trade might have been enough to pry Darius Garland out of Cleveland, or at least push harder on a bigger name. But maybe Orlando knew something we don't. Maybe the phones were silent. Maybe no one else was really available. And maybe, just maybe, they believe Desmond Bane is about to make that leap. Because if he does and he turns into a 22-24 PPG scorer with elite shooting and leadership vibes, then this deal starts to make a lot more sense, especially when you consider the long-term contract security and age timeline with the rest of their core. But that's a big if. Now, swinging back to Memphis real quick, they're sitting pretty. They're not just retooling. They might be preparing for something massive. With all these extra picks now on hand, don't be surprised if Memphis is lining up their next big move. Are they the secret team gunning for Giannis? Could they take a swing at Kevin Durant if things go south in Phoenix? Or are they going full reset, quietly stacking assets while the league scrambles around them? Either way, this trade gave them optionality. That's power. And in today's NBA, power doesn't always mean star players. Sometimes it just means flexibility. They've got a legit defensive wing in KCP, who might actually thrive in their system after a tough season in Orlando. They've got Cole Anthony, who could become an electric six-man or even be flipped again in another deal. And they've got draft capital. Tons of it. That's the real prize. Let me know in the comments what you think. Did Orlando completely overpay, or did they quietly just pull off a genius move? And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, drop a subscribe, and don't forget to share this with another Hoops junkie who needs to hear about this crazy trade. Catch you in the next one.